I like small details too. Like, I mean, it must have taken them hours to go through all this footage, because small things like Michael J. Fox talking about how he had to keep his left hand busy to kind of, hide that he had this condition and to control himself. They found footage where he's using his left hand for like little small things, if only it's just a glimpse. So, I thought that was kind of cool. Now, I will say near the middle of the movie that the editing started to lose its novelty on me a little bit. I was like, all right, we're doing this a lot. Because sometimes it got a little over dramatic or a little cheesy. Like there was an example where he would, Michael J. Fox would say, my life was out of control. And they'll use some footage of him like, oh! And I was like, all right, all right, you need to slow your ass down now. Calm down. Vote for us for the Chronicle Award. But we're up for Best Podcast, and I'm up for Best Movie Critic. So if you can, go to vote.austinchronicle.com. Sign in for the Best of Austin 2023 ballot. Register with your email, your name, first and last, and your zip code. Go to the Politics and Media category. Go down to Podcast. Go down to Double Toasted. And cast your vote. Being a child of the 80s, I first got to know Michael J. Fox like a lot of kids back in the day did, and a lot of adults too. What will we do, baby? And there ain't no nothing. Sha-la-la-la. You put my ass down.
Are you done?
She's like, what is wrong with you?
All right.
She goes right back to laying down.
Okay.
That was Family Ties. And that was where a lot of people saw Michael J. Fox for the first time. He was the young Republican that even black folks like. It was
well, the Republicans didn't want what they are now.
No, they were very different back then. You don't think you like Republicans now. Back then, they were tolerable. They were they were funny.
Yeah.
They had a good sense of humor. Like Alex P. Keaton, he was the young Republican on the show.
This is a traditional American holiday. How is Jennifer supposed to know what Thanksgiving's all about if you insist on serving foreign food? You have to understand that civilization marches forward, and it marches better on paved roads.
Okay, he was copping an asshole. Forgot how bad he was.
They called him out on it often.
All the time.
Most of the humor was.
Yeah, he could be an asshole sometimes. So, look, we were all right. We never got close. We never agreed on a lot of things, but we were all right. But we were all blown away, at least people my age at the time. I was probably about 12 or 13 when this movie came out. We were all blown away when one groundbreaking film came out at that time that became a huge fixture of pop culture.
Hey, McFly!
This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
You're my
Marty McFly. Marty McFly was the cool teen that we all want to be. So cool, even his mom wanted to.
That's weird plot.
Yeah. I always hope he would go through with that shit.
Yeah. He's his own dad.
just to see.
Just to see what would happen.
Oh, God.
Comes back.
He's abomination.
I know he comes back. You done?
You guys act like he couldn't have used the condom.
Yeah, true. Because I would have gone through it. Oh. So it was heartbreaking to find out that, years later, Michael J. Fox had Parkinson's disease. And Parkinson's disease is a disease that attacks the central nervous system. It makes you shake a lot. It, gives you bodily tremors. It even affects the dopamine in the brain, which also affects the nervous system. And it's terrible. If you've known anybody with Parkinson's, you've seen certain celebrities with Parkinson's, it's a horrible disease. But
it's really hard on the loved ones who have to take care of the person.
Exactly.
Also.
No, it's throughout the years it only gets harder. But Michael J. Fox handled it like we expected he would, with confidence. And that is what is explored in this documentary. Still, STILL. Now, we were offered a screener for this. It showed at South by Southwest, actually. I heard a lot of good things about it. And I love Michael J. Fox, man. I really, just between Family Ties and especially Back to the Future alone, it's like, that guy has forever a place in my heart. So, I want to see this anyway. So yeah, I took the screener and thought, oh, this would be a good thing to talk about on Sunday. I'm genuinely interested in it. Michael J. Fox is one thing. A lot of you already know a lot about Michael J. Fox. So I don't know how much of this is new to you or how much you can learn from this, but what about us? What do we think about this? Let's go ahead and watch the trailer for Still, which will be on Apple TV pretty soon. Probably by the time you see this.
May 12th.
May 12th. A lot of times, by this point, a lot of people might already have seen this, but we'll watch the trailer for this and we'll be back with our review after this.
The story of me, take 2.
I don't believe this. This is great.
He had a lot of energy, that little Canadian boy.
I feel 4 feet tall.
I get it. I was big. I was bigger than bubblegum. I woke up and I noticed my pinky. I'm a tough son of a bitch.
Still.
Well, almost everybody loves Michael J. Fox. Somebody in the chat said everybody except Eric Stoltz.
I was thinking that too.
So Eric Stoltz is like, good. Finally, my revenge. What took you so long? No.
Karma's a bitch, ain't it, Michael? What?
What I do to you? Jeez. Yeah, somebody said, well, it's okay. We got a new Michael J. Fox, Tom Holland. Tom Holland is like,
Wow. Oh, you're right.
Tom Holland is like the less confident Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, if they did a Spider-Man movie, Michael J. Fox would have been Peter Parker. There's no doubt.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. Michael J. Fox was so confident. That's why you look at this, like Tom Holland's the nervous Chihuahua version of him. Michael J. Fox was, because he was small, but he made up for it, man. And like I said, I said this earlier, at the time, everybody wanted to be a short Canadian kid after watching Michael J. Fox. He was, there was just somebody's, his personality. His personality that was full of so much confidence, and he went through some tough periods, which we're going to talk about in this, with this documentary right here. But, getting to this documentary, the first thing, and you saw this in the trailer. So one of the first things that you'll notice is that they use a lot of old movie footage, archival footage, and they use that in conjunction with some small parts of film recreations. And the editors, they got very creative with this approach, man. They use parts of movies where they either elaborate on what Michael J. Fox is saying, because Michael J. Fox is narrating the whole thing pretty much. Or they use footage where the footage reacts to what he's saying. Michael J. Fox himself is reacting to what's being told. And, I like small details too. Like, it must have taken them hours to go through all this footage, because small things like Michael J. Fox talking about how he had to keep his left hand busy to kind of, hide that he had this condition and to control himself. They found footage where he's using his left hand for like little small things, if only it's just a glimpse. So, I thought that was kind of cool. Now, I will say near the middle of the movie that the editing started to lose its novelty on me a little bit. I was like, all right, we're doing this a lot. Because sometimes it got a little over dramatic or a little cheesy. Like there was an example where he would, Michael J. Fox would say, my life was out of control. And they'll use some footage of him like, oh! And I was like, all right, all right, you need to slow your ass down now. Calm down. I think that there were a few things that this editing trick, it worked for me later on. It didn't completely become annoying to me, because there were certain things where in the middle, it felt like it might have been overused. But near the end of the movie, and especially at the beginning, it actually made things more enlightening, and I will tell you about that in a little bit. But
with the editing, honestly, it threw me off in the beginning. I was like, wait, what are we doing here? Because wait, did they just recreate these scenes with him? Like, even when they used the archive footage, because I started getting confused. I was like, did it just bring in like, I don't know, like a 12-year-old boy to be like Michael J. Fox or something again? But film, and I like when they cut to like the real Michael J. Fox and. When we see him afflicted by his disease. And I feel like that was some of the best parts of the movie, where he's like really open and honest. Because they ask him, one of the best questions is like, why are you doing this now? You know,
Yeah.
telling, because we've all heard this story many times over through different documentaries, and because he's like, I don't have that much time left.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what really spoke to me in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, because he's afraid.
Yeah. I saw a quote. I guess it was talking
I
about
know which
this.
one you're saying too.
What, the one where he says, "I'm not going to live to 80."
Yeah. That's kind of chilling when you have to, and
Admit
I don't know. When you have to admit that, it might be. It's a good and bad thing, you know. I mean, you know, not all of us get to like plan out our lives like that, you know, and know when we're gonna go. But at the same time, that must be hard to admit that. Yeah,
He almost breaks down a couple of times, you know, in the film.
Yeah, but you know, to what you're saying, I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, this whole editing novelty didn't annoy me, because a lot of this is in his own words. You know, he's narrating. You know, he's in front of the camera a lot, and when that happens, you get to see you get to see with him a lot of mixed emotions, and you have a lot of mixed emotions with it. Of course, you know, I mean, the guy's suffering from Parkinson's, and because the whole time he's struggling, man.
Yep.
You know, listen, for anyone who made a Michael J. Fox joke or laughed at one, this is the part of the movie where you're like, Jesus, I'm an asshole, man.
I feel,
You know,
I feel guilty.
Yeah, I mean, there are moments where I couldn't even make eye contact with the computer because I was like, I know I laughed at a few of them. I was like, nah, I feel like shit, you know.
Well, I only laughed at one when he was on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Boy.
And JB Smoove was cracking on him. I was like, okay, you got to laugh at that.
Man, there's a joke on Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David, he takes a Coke and opens it up and it sprays all over him, and that's because Michael J. Fox shook it up before. And he said, bitch, you do that on purpose. He's like, Parkinson's. So, you know, I laughed at that, man. And, you know, but there's a sadness here because it's the reality of his condition is kicking in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's been debilitating throughout the years, and you know, you see right here how he's you know, they cut to him and the physical toll that is taken on him. You know that he's in pain, and he later confirms that. They ask you in pain, he's like, yeah, I'm in constant pain all the time, and you know, you just don't feel bad for him. You feel bad for anyone with that disease.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because it's horrible, man.
Well, it's also collateral in as much as one of my good friends I've had for at least 10 years, her husband has it, and he's had it for a while, ever since I've known her, and it's only gotten worse. And it's the kind of thing where when I get to see her, sometimes she just confesses, she's like, yeah, I'm sad most of the time. I just accept that this is what my life is going to be as long as he's here. Yeah, and that seems to that is a constant reminder that there's this acceptance of his condition. You know, he's I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't cut you off.
No, you're
sorry,
good.
I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, you know, the part in the movie that I liked was when he was, you know, when he first admitted to it, when he made it public. And I feel like Michael J. Fox has kind of put like a face on Parkinson's, his own face. Because I think a lot of people, it's just like they don't understand the disease, they don't know about it. You know, it's not like it's out there constantly.
Right.
But like when he came out and revealed that, I feel like a lot of people then start to learn more about Parkinson's and what people actually go through. You know, and you know, he put a face to like a lot of people's suffering.
Yeah,
right? and I like that they bring that up in the film.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a constant reminder that, you know, this is a toll not on me but on everybody, and it's also a constant reminder that this guy, he could, because every now and then you hear the director or whoever's behind the camera, they'll ask him a question, and they will ask him just straightforward, you know, certain things, you know, like the question about, are you in pain right now? You know, well, you know, when you're taking your pills, how long does it take to kick in? You know, do we need to stop right now? Are you feeling bad? You know, and he just, you know, you could tell this guy's trying to stay strong for everybody around him, not for his family and not just for himself, but you know, for people who still love him. Yeah, I was like, wow, man, you know, he's still trying to put a good face forward for everybody that knows him as the Michael J. Fox back then.
Still the entertainer.
Yeah, because he even apologized. He's like, I'm trying to be witty. I'm trying to make a joke right now. And the funny thing is, he's trying to make a joke. He feels like he's too slow. Man, for his condition, he's still quick.
Yeah.
He's still funny.
Well, you remember how Muhammad Ali was toward the end, where he was just barely mumbling words out. So Michael J. Fox seems to be still ahead of that.
Well, that's the thing that's really cool with this is that it's not one big sad documentary. Like Michael J. Fox has a lot of sense of humor about his condition. You know, you feel hopeful. You know, look, I'm not saying that, you know, all Michael J. Fox jokes are cool, but if you made one, you're not a complete dick about it, he probably would laugh at it. You know, because he's still charming. And a lot of that charm is coming from his sense of humor.
Yeah.
That sense of humor that he had when he was very young, the sense of humor that made him successful. You know, at this point, Parkinson's is like his shtick. he could go on the Parkinson's tour, and just because he's making jokes about it all the time, and they're funny.
Yeah.
And you know, and I mean, even the parts where they're scary, he's still laughing about it. There's a part where he's with his you know, he's in rehabilitation, and I guess he's walking with his coach. And they're walking, and this fine-ass girl walks by, and he's already having a struggle walking. This fine-ass girl walks by, he looks back so hard, he falls dead on his ass. And the funny thing is that it is comically timed.
Yeah.
Like, this couldn't be any better if it was acted in a movie. And he knows. He knows it look crazy, you know. So he actually gets up and makes a really charming joke to this woman. And she goes on her way. And, you know, and you got to be really strong to do that, because falling for him is a completely dangerous thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, I mean, that was a serious thing that he did. He covered it up with humor. But, you know, he can't move like he used to, man. And when he falls, he's breaking bones. You know, there's a part in the movie where his hand looks like it's just disjointed. And he said he fell and broke his hand and had to have needles all in it. There's another part where he said, I broke my leg.
Yeah.
I broke his face. There's pins in his face because he fell and broke his skull.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his answer is, that goes with Parkinson's. You know, I fall all the time. What are you going to do? You fall, you break things. It's a horrible thing, you know, and it's admirable that he can play it down like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's not, he's doing it to cover up a lot of pain, I'm sure. But I mean, if you're falling and breaking bones, that's extremely painful.
Well, and that's the thing when I talk about my friend's husband, he's tall. He's like 6'4". So him falling, and he's much older.
Yeah.
So him falling is just so much more dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, and like there's times when she's like, yeah, he fell and he broke this, and so I can't meet you guys.
Yeah.
So one thing going for Michael J. Fox is that he's only 5'4". So you know, the trip to the ground is much shorter.
Yeah.
And he mentions that in the movie too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it's sad, man. You know, we're laughing, but you know what? Again, you don't walk away feeling completely let down, because there's a bravery behind what he's doing, man. It makes him endearing and admirable when you see that, and that does it for both him and his family, man. It's good to see him have a good support system under him, man, because a good strong base, because it contributes a lot to his stability and way he approaches his condition. And his wife is still beautiful, man.
Yeah, Tracy Pollan.
Tracy, yeah. She was. He met her on Family Ties, and she is still gorgeous, man. And his kids are, you know, all his kids are good looking. Yeah. So at least all the girls are. Man. So go ahead. I was
going to say, you know, and now I don't know if you were going to get any criticisms of the documentary itself, but you know, I brought this up off Mike. Now, you know, I like when they cover the Parkinson's, how that's affected his life and how it's been a struggle, but it's, you know, inspired people and everything. Now, the one thing though is just this movie is kind of going over like pretty much like his entire like film career, and you know, I've seen like just a lot of film documentaries about like Michael J. Fox and you know, Back to the Future and Family Ties and you know, Teen Wolf and things, you know, and they pretty much cover all that, and it's just like, okay, I kind of know all this. Let's get back to the, you know, the other thing, kind of the whole premise of this movie. So that kind of felt, I don't know, not, I hate to use the word tired, but it's just like familiar. And I was like, I know everything. Like they go over the like, yes, I had to do Family Ties during the day and I had to do Back to the Future at night. I'm like, yep, I know. And just, you know, so much of the movie is like spent doing that too. And for me, it, you know, I didn't feel like necessary, unless people just aren't familiar with his background.
Well,
no, go ahead.
I wonder if people are, because I hadn't really heard much about him in a while. And you know, and there's always new kids coming up.
That's true.
Like, they know Back to the Future.
Yeah.
They don't know Family Ties at all.
That's true. That's a good point.
I mean, unless it was on Nick at Night.
I was going to say, because that's not like that's not a valid criticism. It is, because if you've seen those things,
Yeah.
then you know. And so maybe this is not the documentary for you. Some of these things I did not know. Like I didn't know that schedule with him, with him doing Family Ties. In fact, they do a lot of discussion about his time in Hollywood. You know, when he first gets to Hollywood, and I thought, Parkinson's aside, I thought it was kind of cool seeing this guy who went on to like be just this, you know, the hot ticket at the time. You know, the it guy at the moment. You know how he went for a long time having like a nice gig and still having to live in a shitty apartment.
Oh.
Washing his dishes in the shower.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, wow.
You know, I didn't know that. But then again, you know, that is legit. If you knew all that stuff, there's probably nothing new here for you. I will say that even if you did know that stuff, there is the added bonus of having Michael J. Fox sit there and narrate the whole thing.
Sure.
You know, and in those moments, you do have to deal with the moments that you're talking about. So.
Speaking of the narration, there's a funny bit where like we actually see him where he's recording it, and he has to do all those warm up and stuff, and he can only do it for so long. And then at one point, he's just like, "Who the hell wrote this? Like you did, Michael." Oh yeah. You gotta stop using big words.
Did you get Alzheimer's too? Yeah. Listen, I got to do a quick ad, if you don't mind. You notice I didn't do any kind of crazy segue or anything. I'm paying respect to Michael J. Fox
you
over
are.
there. Yes. I man, look, I ain't a complete asshole, all right? You know, I could have said some shit like, "Hey, if you want strong bones, then go get damn, what is it called? America's #1 meal kit." What is this called? I'm thinking about Michael J. Fox and it just upset so much, shaken by this. Hello Fresh, y'all.
Hello Fresh.
Yeah, Hello Fresh. And I've done this so many times. I use Hello Fresh. I still use Hello Fresh right now, and I'll give you my personal testimony in a minute. But we have a lot of people who actually use Hello Fresh, America's #1 meal kit, who actually come in and give us testimonials about how much they enjoy it. I've received videos from people saying how much they enjoy HelloFresh, and you're probably wondering why. And if it's something you want yourself, I'm going to say yes to that. And when I tell you why, it's going to be a definite yes, because first of all, there is a lot of choice with HelloFresh. You know, with HelloFresh, you'll get you'll get a choice of 40 weekly recipes that you can choose from. Over 100 items to round out your order right there. And, you know, a lot of people, they think dinner with HelloFresh. You can do lunches. You got breakfast now that you can do with this. Man, if you are having like if you're having a party or a get together, you could even order snacks and little appetizer trays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's not just something where, you know, they send you a bunch of recipes and you have to cook it yourself. That you can do, and it's very easy to do. But they have all kind of stuff to round out anything from several meals a day to some party or get together that you might be having. And they also deliver all this stuff fresh, and it's already pre-portioned out, so you know exactly what you need. And that's why it's not hard to cook, because they come with clear instructions. It's actually fun to look at the recipes that they have. I actually saved the recipes in case I want to cook them later. And with everything portioned out, it's not a hassle at all. And that is why people love it. I'm going to tell you guys something, like I said, over and over again. Look, if you're cooking this stuff yourself and you have a date coming over, put those boxes away, hide those recipes, and just act like you cooking yourself. And they love that. They love that. Listen, you can cook a meal as well as you can order this stuff. It's just as quick and easy with their quick and easy recipes. You'll get a meal done in about 15 minutes or less. And you're saving money and time. It's cheaper than grocery shopping, definitely cheaper than going to a restaurant. You know the markup on that stuff. And hey, it can also be a family affair. Look at all those kids cooking in there, man. And parents ain't worried about them burning that kitchen down.
That's right. It must be easy.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've used it myself. Probably gonna start using it more since it's just me at the house. So I'll just start cooking it. And it's the perfect thing for my lifestyle right now. Oh, and can I tell you one more thing? Speaking of lifestyle, you might have some sort of dietary need, you know, keto, gluten-free, you're vegetarian. You know, they are very flexible with that. So you can mix and match your meals too. But I've spoken enough about this. You're ready to get it. And here's the big thing that is really going to push you over to getting this. If you go to HelloFresh.com/doubletoasted16 and use doubletoasted16 you'll get 16 free meals plus free shipping. I want to thank HelloFresh for sponsoring this portion of the show, America's #1 meal kit, and I want to thank all of you out there for your support, as usual. Going back to the footage that they use here, like I said, in the middle of it, I thought, okay, it was a little cheesy the way they were using it, but really not to take away anything from the editors, because they did an amazing job at going through all that footage and picking out perfect moments to go with Michael J. Fox's narration. The other thing about that footage, though, is that Michael J. Fox will tell you that, I didn't tell people a long time that I had this. Mm-hmm. And so they go back and they start showing footage of him like in Spin City. Because if you were coming up when I was coming up, or, Martin was coming up, and like I said, I was a kid of the 80s, man. If you loved Michael J. Fox, you know that he had a long string of flops. He got to the point where he had so many duds on his hand that, the tabloids start reporting it. Has he lost it? Oh, don't nobody give a shit about you no more, Michael J. Fox. They were pretty much, as usual, when you hit the top, and you start to just mess up a little bit, they ready to like tear you down. Yeah. So he says, I'm going to go back to television. But he said, if you look at the movies, and if you look at the television shows, Spin City, especially that I was in, you'll notice that my facial expressions are pulled back a little bit. My body movement is different. My whole demeanor is a little bit different. And that's because he was covering up his Parkinson's that set in. And so a lot of times we watched him in these movies and we thought that, he was being a little more subdued, or maybe we just didn't notice at all. Or maybe we thought he's just getting older. He had, an onset of Parkinson's.
People, it was a publicity photo, okay? I met Heidi for like 5 minutes. It was hello, goodbye.
Heidi Klum is here to see you.
And hello again.
That Parkinson's was gone in. Well, he can move quick with that.
Hop and a skip.
I mean, I did notice he was more subdued during that show, but I just thought it was the character and the writing itself.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I looked at his performance and went like, I don't know, man, he's lost it. I just figured it was everything else but that.
Well, he even said that he just felt like at one moment that he's just getting better. He says, I'm not mugging it up. I'm not hamming it up as much. I am a little more subdued. So he thought like, I'm just maturing. And he was lying to himself. But a lot of other people thought the same thing too. And so, and of course, people change like that. The older you get, sometimes you stop being, as crazy as you were, exaggerated. Yeah, that's a great word. Exaggerate as you were. And so a lot of people thought that. But, if you look at it, you can actually see where, boy, I ain't got no Parkinson right there. He's just a smooth.
Why is he lying?
Shit, if that's the case, you'd hang out with Heidi Klum all the time. No, he was you can actually see parts where he's, he just a little bit.
Yeah,
he can't, because he's holding back.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, how you just got to think how physically painful that must have been for him to have to do that in these shows and in these movies later on, because he really is, he's holding back there. Yeah. I thought that was very interesting, man. And like I said, man, not all of this is centered on his Parkinson's. When he started having those string of flops, he suffered from alcoholism.
I do remember that. I forgot about it.
Yeah, now that is something I did not know. Like, he suffered from alcoholism. He's talking about how he was waking up, and a lot of that came from his success too, because of the overindulgence that you commit yourself to with success.
Sure. But I wonder, had the Parkinson's even come in at all at that point? Because he might have been self-medicating.
He was already kind of partying and drinking and whatnot. And here's the thing about Michael J. Fox, man. He always seemed like a stable guy. Yeah. Like, even though he was partying hard, he was a family man early on. He was, he got married in his 20s, had kids, and he never seemed like he was somebody that was that out of control where he treated people bad. But he did admit to having a problem with drinking. And the problem with drinking came in with him not being able to deal with the bombs that he had in movies, being criticized, and also the onset of Parkinson's. He was drinking before, but he got into it real heavy then.
Yeah.
But he was also drinking because, as Chris was saying, he was trying to handle 2 schedules.
That's the other thing. Yeah, it became too stressful for him.
His wife, Tracy Pollan, came in and pretty much in this, he never did anything to hurt her, and never cheated on her, turned his back on the family except for when he had to work. But she finally came in and just kind of set his life straight. So yeah, it's a lot to learn about.
I remember reading about that when that was happening.
See, for somebody who claims to like Michael J. Fox as much as I say, I guess I just liked him in the movies because I did not know that much about him.
Did it mention that he was older than everybody thought he was?
Yeah, because they talked about. They said when everybody was looking 16, he was looking 12.
Even when he was younger, they say it's like him and his 3-year-old sister, and he was like 6. They were like the same height. And they're like, "Oh, you two must be twins." He's like, "What?" Which is a nice little funny bit.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah. And there are moments with his family that and they don't try to come in, and this is what I really loved about this documentary. They don't try to come in and make this sad, man. Whenever they show him with his family, they are always laughing. They are always having a good time. They are always being respectful. I get the feeling Michael J. Fox himself said, this is nothing where we want to dwell on the tragic side of things.
Yeah.
We want to be hopeful for people. And it is, man. Listen, this puts life in perspective. I mean, it made me humble and grateful. I'm going through some shit right now. It's like, well, I got my body. I got my health.
Yeah. You've actually always had a healthy attitude about this.
Yeah, well, you know what? This even makes it healthier looking at something like this because you really do see how having a good attitude in life, a great attitude in life gets you through, man. Really, if a lot of people who watch this, I mean, everybody has a certain degree of problems, if you're, and probably have it worse than Michael J. Fox. But for a lot of people who really just have, first world problems, you look at this and a voice will go off in your head saying, man, shut the
right.
I mean, really, ain't nothing wrong with you. If this man can get through this, you are fine.
Yeah, but he's a movie star.
He got money.
That does help. That does help.
It don't hurt none.
And I'm shaking from being broke right now. I will say that many documentaries, they're mid-level productions. And that's what this is, man. This is kind of a mid-level, documentary. I mean, and what I mean by that is I'm not saying that the production on this is bad. It's actually pretty excellent. But it's just some things, given today's movie prices, time it takes to get to a theater and things like that, this is perfect for streaming.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But let me just say this: if I did see this in the theater, I'd be walking away with a huge emotional impact from this, and I'd be walking away with a lot of admiration and hope that would actually make this worth seeing. So I mean, I give this a high matinee. It's okay. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. But then again, like you said, you might know a lot about Michael J. Fox. It's not going to be anything new here.
Yeah, I did like just hearing about his home life and how he dealt with Parkinson's and how it's a good documentary about perseverance and the struggle, but finding those good moments, but being open and being honest. And I appreciate him just being honest about his own mortality. That made this feel like really real. Yeah, again, it's only for me in regards to the more familiar aspects of the films he made. It's I know about these stories, but for other people, they might not know. And this is a cool history of that. And so totally understand if people would love this documentary. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's bad at all. I'm probably a little lower than you. It's a nice solid matinee.
If somebody took me to the theater to see this, I would not walk away feeling like this is a waste at all. In fact,
no, it's not a waste.
I would actually walk away, feeling like, man, I probably got more than this from the average motion picture out there because, this is about a real person. It's just funny now. We're being trained. Our minds are being trained to actually see certain kinds of content in certain areas. Again, with the way movie theaters are now and the way the theatrical releases go, a lot of people just feel like, documentaries are just best to be seen at home.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you did pay money for this, I think it'd be worth it. But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. We both enjoyed it, I guess.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So yeah. It's going to be on Apple Plus. So if you have Apple Plus, then it's definitely something I would highly recommend you watch. It's and everybody's into nostalgia these days.
Yeah,
so this is a huge nostalgia kick right here, man. Huge nostalgia kick.